What it is, gamers, peace and grease here, and I've been playing Rage 2 for the last couple of weeks, and even though this game may lack depth, it makes up for it with combat and action. But with all that being said, I wanted to do a video about it, and I figured why not talk about every one of the vehicles in the game, including the DLC. So we're going to talk about how you get each one, and the best place to acquire them. But before I do, understand that there are several vehicles on this list that can only be acquired once you have complete a quest or a specific activity, and it will be unlocked in your inventory. But a lot of other vehicles don't work that way. A lot of other vehicles need to be found out in the open world someplace and then taken to a city or town somewhere. So several vehicles are like that. There are 7 towns or cities total in this game. We are not going to count Vineland here for our particular needs. So first we're going to start with Gun Barrel, almost smack dab in the middle of the map. Then we have Wellspring up here. Finally, there's several more to go, but this is Laguni out in the swamps. We also have Oasis in the Dune Sea. And then for this continent, finally we have, there it is, Dreadwood out in the wilds. But then we also have the metro station, which was going to be important in the Fall of the Ghost DLC. That is kind of its own little town there. So, the way it works is you find the vehicle somewhere, you drive it to one of those towns, you'll see a prompt on your screen, hop out, add it to your collection. So with that being said, let's get started. And we're going to start at the top of the list on the menu and work our way down, so you can follow along, or if there's a particular vehicle you're looking for. So first up we have the Phoenix. Now in my opinion this is the best vehicle in the game, not just because it has skins or you can put flags on it, although that may be a consideration for some people. No, first off, when this vehicle takes damage you can approach the front bumper and this panel will open and you can use your focus ability to repair the Phoenix on the fly. That's a really big plus right there. But furthermore, you can also upgrade the Phoenix, making it crazy overpowered. For example, in its weight class, it has the biggest arsenal of any other vehicle out there. Gatling guns, cruise missiles, 20mm cannons, Hellfire mortar, and even for ground troops, if they're surrounding your vehicle, you have a radial blast that will knock them back and stun lock them. Furthermore, you can boost its damage resistance by, I don't know why I couldn't say that word, but reinforced chassis, nanotrite skin, as well as freaking safe mode, which prevents your vehicle from being destroyed. And lastly, you have ejector seat, although this isn't for your enemies because the Phoenix is only a 1-seater. So yeah, it's for you to do really crazy stuff with. So have fun with that. For all of those reasons, that is why the Phoenix, in my opinion, is the best vehicle in the game. But moving on, we're going to talk about the Raptor as well as the Icarus here. Okay, so both of these vehicles are only unlockable through specific characters and actions. Let's start with the Raptor. Now, the Raptor is the fastest motorcycle in the game. But like every motorcycle in the game, it has one big disadvantage, and that is that your butt's hanging out in the wind, and against bigger, heavier vehicles, which pretty much every vehicle is, you're at a severe disadvantage. Couple that with the fact you have no weaponry whatsoever, and the only vehicle you can use is your Sidewinder sidearm. That's all you get for a weapon. So how do you acquire your very own Raptor? Well, if you look at the second picture of the person down on the left there in yellow, that is Hagar. Basically, you're going to run around doing specific missions or quests for her, and in the process of doing that, you're going to gain points to level her up. You must get Mare Hagar to level 10, and as soon as you get her to level 10, the Raptor drops in your collection. Just that simple. The Icarus works in a very similar way. However, instead of Hagar, it's Dr. Cavassier, who's the third character down in green. All you have to do is get Dr. Cavassier up to level 7, and automatically the Icarus unlocks in your collection. Now, the Icarus has no armor, has no weaponry. You don't even have your sidearm like you do on a typical motorcycle. If you bump into any type of obstacle, it will do severe amounts of damage to this vehicle. So you may be wondering, why then would I want this? Because this vehicle has one advantage that over all of these other vehicles here, and that is that the Icarus can literally fly. Yeah, and as we all know, flying is always faster than driving. You can cover massive amounts of ground compared to any of the ground vehicles here, and it's just a hell of a lot of fun. Trust me. So moving on, we're going to talk about as it's called in the game, Predator, or as we see it on our screen, the Xerxes 3. Now this particular vehicle is the Authority tank. It's got a lot of armor. It has an absolutely devastating cannon. But you pay for all of that armor and weaponry, and that is, it's slow. No, it's not as slow as, say, something like the dumper truck, which is like a loader excavator, but it is still pretty slow. So that is something to bear in mind. How do you get this? Well, you had basically do the Project Dagger quests for specifically Hagar, but you're going to have to do some of the other Dagger quests for the other characters in order to kind of advance them. Once you unlock the Predator, or Xerxes 3, it will open up in your collection. Just that simple. Next up, we are going to talk about, the Pulverizer and the Devastator. So the Pulverizer, in fact, with that, the Windraiser as well. So everything I'm about to say applies. All three of these vehicles are Immortal Shrouded vehicles. So you're going to find them in the Immortal Shrouded bases and strongholds. All you got to do is go to one of their bases, look for their vehicles outside, jump in one, and take it to a city or town and park it to unlock it. Just that simple. Now, none of these vehicles have skins. They don't have perks. There's no upgrades. You can't repair them on the fly. The Pulverizer is kind of like a light armored vehicle, so it's still pretty peppy as far as speed goes. The Devastator, on the other hand, has a little bit more armor and a little bit less speed than the Pulverizer. And then we have the Windraiser here, which is also the Immortal Shrouded motorcycle. Again, it definitely has more armor than other vehicles. You're still at a disadvantage when it comes to car combat. But also this thing has really weird turning radius, so its mobility is definitely in question. But it's a cool looking motorcycle, I'll give it that. Next up, we will talk about the Goon Squad vehicles. The Rolla, the Booma, and the Nipa. So all three of these vehicles, so this is the Booma here. Tons of weaponry, tons of armor, but it is slow. But it is very much a tank for the Goon Squad. Then we have the Nipa here, which again is a Goon Squad motorcycle. Very traditional motorcycle, styling-wise. I definitely like the looks of it. Not the fastest, not the slowest, no armaments, no armor. So yeah. No skins for the Booma, the Nipa, or the Rolla. No upgrades, no repairs. Again, all three of these vehicles will be found outside. This is the Rolla, by the way. All three of these vehicles will be found outside Goon Squad, strongholds, or bases. Hop in it, take it to a city, done. Just that simple. Next up, we will talk about the monster truck. Yeah, let's talk about the monster truck. The monster truck, as the name implies, is just a big monster truck. It has a little bit of armor, has a little bit of weaponry, and it's a whole lot of fun. If you ever wanted to go jumping across huge ramps, guns blazing, this will be it. Now, if you're looking for a monster truck, where do you go? Well, actually, the swamps. The swamps right here in this yellow lined area. This is the best place to go for any of the monster trucks. Now, keep in mind, any of the vehicles you find in a town outside don't count. You can't use them. You're going to have to actually go out into the area to find your own. But yeah, a lot of fun. There are some skins for this, but no perks, no repairs. So bear that in mind. After that, we have... I think I'm trying to get over a cold here or something. It's annoying me. Next up, we have the Conquest and we have the Chaser. Now, these particular two vehicles don't belong to any faction. They are completely neutral. These vehicles you will find all over the place parked on the side of the road in the open world. All you have to do is hop in and take them to a city or town. Tons of skins for these, but no perks, no repairs. So pretty peppy for vehicles because they're light on armor, light on armaments. So again, pretty good. Next up, what do we have? I forgot. I just looked at it and I forgot. Okay, the dumper truck, which I think we kind of talked about that one already, but we'll cover it briefly. The dumper truck is a big, heavy loader excavator. It's slow. It's very, very slow. Interestingly enough, though, I will say that the very first thing I did when I found one of these loader excavator, well, I'm just going to call it by its name, the dumper. Once I found one of these, the very first thing I did was run into a group of enemies and pick them up, because you can articulate the bucket, in case you're wondering. You can move the bucket up and down. The very first thing I did, as I said, was run into a group of enemies and pick them up, and there's actually an achievement for doing that. I guess I'm weird because only another, like, less than 4% of other people out there did the same thing as I did. But easy achievement, but something to consider. Is it the Liquidus Wanderer now? Yeah, I'm not going to call that in. As you can see beneath it, call in for $10. I've unlocked it, but it's extremely loud, obnoxious, and annoying, and it gives me a headache every damn time I try to do this video. So I'm not going to call it in. I'm sorry. I'm just not. I hate it. But it is the vendor vehicle. It's the vehicle that basically you honk at, and it stops, and it drops its ramp, and you sell your junk and buy junk from them. It's just that simple. If you're looking for your very own Liquidus Wanderer, go here. This location right here, the Forlorn Shack. You will find a fallen ranger inside the house, but outside the house in the driveway, you will find a Liquidus Wanderer, your very own. You can take it to any city or town you like from there. For reference, here is Gun Barrel right there, if that helps. And then right above here, we have the Chazkar Derby Torn Plains track right there. If hopefully that helps for basically figuring out exactly where this is. But yeah, that's where you're going to find one. No skins, no perks, no repairs on the Liquidus Wanderer. So it is what it is. Okay, the Boombringer. Okay, in fact, we'll talk about those. In fact, I think we'll talk about these three together. Okay, so the Boombringer mech, the Armadillo, and the Astronaut are all three vehicles from the Rise of the Ghost DLC, which happens to take place down here in the Overgrown City. However, that's specifically where you're going to get the Astronaut motorcycle. The other two vehicles, the Boombringer and the Armadillo, will have their very own quests added to your quest log as soon as you have the Rise of the Ghost DLC. Now, the Armadillo will be down here in this area, the Dune Sea. So this is the town, the Oasis, in case you're wondering. And if I recall correctly, I think that it was over here in the Dust Crossing, if I'm not mistaken, is where the worm was. I don't remember exactly, but basically you have a quest marker, and it's listed as investigate the sandworms. And when you go there, you will meet the Traveler. And once you've dealt with that, the Armadillo will be yours. Just that simple. Armadillo is not a fast vehicle. It's not the slowest vehicle in game, believe it or not. Not a lot of weaponry, not a lot of armor. Definitely unique vehicle. Definitely very, very unique. But yeah, if you just wanted to add it to your collection, that's what you're going to do. Next up, let's talk about the Boombringer. The Boombringer will also be added to your quest log, and it will actually show you a quest marker down here in the swamp somewhere. And I don't remember exactly where, but basically you need to find some engines. And once you do, you go from there. The Boombringer mech is got a lot of armor. It has a lot of weaponry. It actually has its own series of abilities, believe it or not, that basically allow you to wreak all kinds of destruction on things. But with that being said, you do pay a price for all that armor and weaponry, and basically it's slow. It's very, very slow. So this is a vehicle that you're going to want to drive to a destination, and then you're going to want to get very close to your destination, and then call this in, so you don't have to walk, you know, 1,500 meters to. Oh God, that would be miserable in this thing because it would be so slow. But yeah, that's how you're going to basically acquire that one. Now, as to the Azeroth motorcycle here, it's pretty damn comparable speed-wise to the Raptor motorcycle. It really is. This is a pretty peppy little motorcycle. Again, not a whole lot of armor, not a whole lot of weaponry when it comes to a motorcycle. Again, you're basically going to be using your Sidewinder sidearm. It is, again, pretty peppy for speed. It also can take quite a bit of damage, so it almost seems like there's a little bit of armor on it. But we do need to talk about how you're going to go about acquiring the Astaroth motorcycle, because it's kind of a pain in the ass, if I'm being completely honest. Alright, so if this is the last vehicle you have to add to your collection, let's talk about it really briefly here. Okay. So, whenever you start the Rise of the Ghost DLC, I'm just going to call it the Ghost for short, Ghost DLC. Essentially, you will find enemies, you know, bases and strongholds, and you will find the Astaroths will be sitting outside their bases or strongholds, like they are in the regular game. When you hop on an Astaroth, the game will tell you, take the vehicle to a trade town to add it to your collection, right? Although that information is dubious at best. So there are several trade towns. Let's see here. This is a trade town here. This is a trade town down here. This is the trade town up here. But I could never get the trade town to work with this. It didn't matter. So I focused my attention instead to the metro station. Now here's the interesting bit. How do you add the Astaroth to your collection? How do you turn it in, right? Well, you actually have to progress the Ghost DLC story a little ways. You'll know you're getting there whenever you start noticing more and more stores opening in the metro station. Specifically, the garage, Falcon's Fixins. Once the garage opens outside the metro, you can turn in a vehicle. But that's like halfway, 3/4 of the way through the story before that garage opens. Furthermore, I noticed towards the end of the story, or after the story has concluded, you see far less Astaroths. So there's kind of a fine line for me personally. You want to basically grab an Astaroth and turn it in as soon as the garage opens outside the metro station. As soon as it does. Because it definitely seems as if those vehicles kind of disappear with the ghosts after the main story. But again, just my 2 cents. No repairs, no skins, no perks on this particular vehicle. But that is all, 19 vehicles in the game and how you're going to acquire each one. Let me know your favorite vehicle down in the comment section below. And until next time, peace out. Actually, I completely forgot the Chaz car. I don't know how I missed it, but I did. So this is the Chaz car. This is essentially your dedicated race car. Now, I ended up acquiring one I just went to the Torn Plains racetrack, did a race, and it automatically added it to my inventory. But beyond that, you can actually find Chaz cars running around the open world, so you can actually just collect one and take it to a town that way as well. There are some skins that you can get for these as well. Not a lot of armor, not a ton of weaponry, but it is pretty peppy, so it is fun to use. But I just wanted to include that because somehow I completely forgot it. Obviously, there's no repairs, there's no perks for this, but there you have it.